Hello and welcome to another episode of Alien Searchers Paranormal Podcast. Today we will be going into another multi-witness ghost story. Let me just get my quick audio test. Good. We have today another ghost story from Fig Springs. And sorry, it's been a while since the last episode. I've been kind of busy with life and have had a cold that has knocked me out pretty good. Still at the tail end of that. It isn't COVID, just a cold, no fever, none of that. Just a really nasty cold. But anyhow, so Fig Springs was... I don't know if I touched on the history of Fig Springs in a previous episode or not, but it's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the world's largest fig tree. If you look in the old books, like from the 70s and 80s, it's in those Guinness Book of World Records. It was after that chopped down. The history of the tree was that it was actually a hanging tree, and the path through the area was the old wagon trail before Oatman Road was put in. Oatman Road basically replaced that wagon trail. So this was, Fig Springs was a wagon stop because there's running water there. Well, running as in oozing out of the ground water. And so there's a lot of history to that particular spot. And my parents were there caretaking the land for the people who owned it, who had bought it for a private residence. So it was me, my parents, and my brother were all there. So one particular day, my dad had gone into town for supplies, and so it was just me, my mom, my brother, and I there. And we're up on, our spot is kind of up on a hill looking down into a field, and at one point that field had been plowed, so there really was only very small shrubs in the field, and we were looking down on it, not straight out. Like in the picture you can see a field looking straight out. It was similar to that, except that we were looking down on it, so there was absolutely no place for anyone to hide. You can see the little creosote bushes, just wouldn't hide a person, especially if you're looking down on that area. And while we're there by ourselves without a adult male protection of any sort or any kind of weaponry or anything, we start hearing voices coming from that field. There's no valleys around that anyone could hide in, nothing like that, but we're all hearing voices that sound like a crowd of people, like maybe 20 or 30 people. And so we rush outside, and my mom starts yelling at them, threatening them. You better get out of here, this is private property, you can't trespass here. We have a gun, we'll shoot, I'm not afraid to use it. Of course she didn't, it was all bluff, but when you're out in the middle of nowhere, probably about a mile from the nearest human, and hour drive from the nearest town, you bluff. So we put up with that for maybe 15 minutes of her yelling at these people that we can't see. And finally she stops and looks at us and says, what are you hearing exactly? And I say, it sounds like a crowd of people out in a field. And my brother says, yeah, out there, and points to the field. And so she's like, well, what are they saying? And I listen closely, and I'm like, I can't really tell. It sounds like a large amount of people, and they're all talking at the same time. And she confirmed that that's what she was hearing. My brother nodded that that's what he was hearing too. And then she says, "Where are they?" Delta, no. Sorry, my dog decided to pick now to be obnoxious. So then she says, "Where are they?" And I say, "I'm not sure. I guess they're hiding behind the bushes." And she looks at these little tiny creosote bushes you can see in the picture, and she's like, "How would they be hiding behind those bushes?" I take a look, and I'm like, "Yeah, there's not really any place to hide out there." So we basically concluded that there couldn't possibly be any humans in that field anywhere. And what we were hearing couldn't possibly be human. And so we kind of just went back in the house and kind of just went about our day, but kind of just not doing a lot, mostly listening to voices. And they went on for a good hour. And stopped a while before before my dad got back. But yeah, we never could quite figure out what in the world happened there, but all we knew is all three of us heard it. Of course, when our dad got home, he probably thought we were a little crazy, but no, he knew ghosts were a thing, so probably didn't quite think we're crazy, but probably also didn't know what to think of it all. Let me check how long the stream's been going. 7 minutes. Okay, so let me add a bonus because I haven't even made 10 minutes here. Let me add a bonus story for you. It's not really a ghost story, but it's an unexplained story that happened in the same area, Fig Springs. This happened up near the pond, which was where the fig tree itself grew. Now, the time we lived there for about 3 years, and we had lots of close encounters with rattlesnakes and other wildlife, and none of them really bothered us. The rattlesnakes would rattle, we'd we'd figure out where the sound was coming from, and we'd slowly back away and let them have their space. The only time anything ever got bit was if drunk people came up there. Sometimes drunk people would do stupid things. 98% of all snake bites are drunk people. Imagine that. But apparently someone had found a snake at one point that was stuck in a fence, and he decided to chop off its head, being drunk doofus he was. And in playing with the remains, ended up getting himself poked by the fang of the disembodied head and had gotten envenomated that way. The only other bite that happened there was a dog accidentally stepped on a rattlesnake, and yeah, you step on a rattlesnake, you will get bit, just out of self-defense. I'd bite too if someone stepped on me. The dog did live. He had a sore on his leg for a while, but he did pull through, and the group of dogs ended up going on their own way at one point. So anyhow, we lived in harmony with the animals there, didn't mess with them, and they didn't mess with us. Except this one time, this was early on, when we had first moved there. It was me, my mom, Debbie. I always called her Debbie. I never called her Mom. And our friend Chris were, and Debbie was holding my brother's hand, I think, or carrying my brother. I can't really remember. I can't remember for sure if he was there or not. It was at least the three of us. And Debbie always tromped off ahead, walking 10 feet in front of everyone. Chris was in the middle, and I was dragging behind like I usually do. And out of my mouth, I just said, Debbie's going to walk up on a rattlesnake. This was not a conscious thought. This was not something I wanted to say or planned to say or anything. It just came out. And no one thought much of it because it was totally random, out of context, and heck, we saw rattlesnakes up there lots of times. They never bothered us. We just left them alone. Well, about the time that Chris got about halfway around the pond, my mom comes running back towards us, grabs Chris, grabs me, runs out the gate as she's looking back over her shoulder saying, run faster, it's gaining on us. We finally get out away from the pond and over by the trailer, which I have a different story for I'll tell in the future. And we go over to the trailer and we're huffing and puffing. And all I can say is, again, it wasn't conscious thought. It wasn't something I wanted to say, planned to say, or even thought about saying. It just came out of my mouth. All I just kept saying was, I told you so, I told you so, I told you Debbie was going to walk up on a rattlesnake. They all stopped and looked at me just totally dumbfounded. And Chris was like, yeah, she's right. She did say that. And that was the only time we had ever been chased by a rattlesnake or any other animal for that matter. We had coyotes all over the place there, and they never chased us. None of the other snakes, I mean, like I said, we saw about 100 a year for about 3 years, and never had a single one make a move towards us, let alone chase us. But for some reason, that one day, that one rattlesnake decided to chase us. And we went back around that pond. Like, I used to walk around that pond every single day. And usually if the rattlesnakes, you kind of see them repeatedly in the same spot. And we did see a rattlesnake around that same spot. She'd spotted that one numerous times, but it had never chased us. It was only that one time when I had said that it had chased us. And my mom did say that she had been more careful because of what I said, and she'd kind of started walking a little slower and keeping an eye out more. So not quite sure what would have happened if I hadn't said that. She was more cautious because of it. But it was definitely one of the more odd and unusual experiences in my life that I really don't have any kind of an explanation for. But it's not quite a ghost story, but it kind of falls in that paranormal category. And so I kind of figured it would be a good bonus and not really worthy of an episode itself. As far as our interactions, again, like I said, we saw rattlesnakes all the time. Probably the scariest rattlesnake, just totally natural, nothing paranormal about it, but the scariest rattlesnake encounter we had was one time my parents had gone ahead of us, and we were back over near the trailer trying to catch up with them, my brother and I. And we hear a rattle, and routine, you look, see where the rattle is coming from, and you slowly back away. And the only problem was, as we were backing away, we heard another rattle behind us. That was a little disconcerting, so we looked back, saw it, and decided, okay, we'll just go between the two, going, kind of triangulating away from them. Rattle, 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 right behind us, there's another one. So we were literally in a triangle with snakes literally maybe 5 feet from us on every side, on three of our sides, pinning us in the triangle. And we were a little scared at that point. My brother was maybe two or 3 years old at the time. I was maybe 8 or 9. So my parents were basically told us to go in between them. And we're like, I can't. There's on all sides. And they're like, you're going to have to go in between two of them. And so we went between the two that were closest to my parents and got out of there. And after we got out of the triangle, they went about their business and didn't bother us. And what my dad discovered when he looked around and investigated what happened was one of the snakes had actually caught a rabbit and struck a rabbit, and basically it was waiting for the rabbit for the venom to kick in so it could eat the rabbit, while the other two kind of wanted a little extra snack for free, basically, and were trying to steal his catch. And despite the fact that we were in the middle of a feeding frenzy of rattlesnakes, literally just encompassed in the center of it, they still didn't come after us. They didn't threaten us, nothing. They warned us with their rattle, and we left them alone. They left us alone. So whatever it was that happened with the snake around the pond was not a normal situation. And like I said, to this day I have no explanation for that one, but yeah, that was an interesting one. Probably one of the next ones I'll do is the trailer. That one I actually want to put together a slideshow for, because wanted to get some of the terrain in there, some of the imagery. If you look at my YouTube thumbnail, it is actually the thumbnail. The picture is actually the stone cabin that's up there at Fig Springs, and it relates to the story. And it's one of my bigger stories, so I'm going to do that one in the near future. If any of you have ghost stories, please send them to me with a note that it's okay to read them on the air. I do want to start getting other people's ghost stories and start reading them on the air very soon. So do please submit to me your ghost stories that you want me to read on the air, along with a pseudonym, fake name that I can use to hide identity, because don't want to dox you any more than I already have myself. So yeah, send that on over to me, YouTube, Twitch. Did I say Twitch? Well, X, I guess it's called now. You can send them to me on X. You can send them to me via YouTube or yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, Twitch and X. Okay, yeah. I'm still getting over this cold. Don't mind me. Okay. Anyhow, send me your ghost stories. And I will read them on the air as long as they sound good to me. They're not like nothing inappropriate for my channel or anything like that. I do try to keep it semi-PG. I'm probably not going to do any major incubus tells or anything like that. For obvious reasons. I don't want to get into any kind of sensationalism. I just want real ghost stories. Just everyday, ordinary ghost stories, if there's such a thing. Also, I have a Patreon set up, and I might put some pictures of Fig Springs that I can get a hold of that I can't use elsewhere. I might put on the Patreon, like if I can snag some off of Google, that I don't want to risk being copyrighted and like can just share them on my YouTube. I mean, on my Patreon page without having to worry about getting any kind of warnings on Twitch or YouTube. So do subscribe to my Patreon. Follow my Twitch and subscribe to my YouTube. I think I got that all right. And it doesn't look like I have anyone I can raid right now. I don't have enough people to raid Octorok, but I guess I will go ahead and sign off here. And we'll see you in the next episode, which will hopefully be sooner than a month away. Thank you, and have a safe and haunting night.